People ask me this all the time. Isn't it dishonest to say not guilty when you know the person did it? And I get it. On the surface, it sounds shady. You picture someone standing in court, raising their hand, saying not guilty, while everybody in the room is thinking, but wait, we know what happened. But here's the thing. Not guilty in a courtroom doesn't mean I swear I'm innocent. It means something much bigger and much more important. If you stick with me for the next few minutes, I'll show you why not guilty isn't a lie at all. It's one of the most important protections we have. And without it, the criminal system would be a nightmare. When someone pleads not guilty, they aren't making a factual claim about what happened in the real world. They're making a legal demand. They're saying, prove it. The burden of proof always sits with the state. The government has to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And until they do, the presumption of innocence applies. That's why I tell people not guilty doesn't mean innocent. It means not proven. Think of it like sports. The score is 0-0 until one team actually puts points on the board. You don't start the game assuming one side is already losing. Or think of it like poker. You don't fold your cards just because someone at the table claims they have a royal flush. You make them show their hand. Not guilty is how we say, show me your cards. Why does this matter so much? Well, because accusations are cheap. It doesn't take much to be accused of a crime. Sometimes it's just one officer writing a report. Sometimes it's a neighbor who doesn't like you. Sometimes it's just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But conviction, that should be hard, really hard, because what's on the line isn't small. We're talking about your money, your reputation, your freedom, your family's future. I've seen accusations destroy lives even when the person was acquitted. The charge alone, the arrest alone can cost a job, ruin a marriage, brand someone in their community. That's why we make it difficult for the government to convert an accusation into a conviction. Now, let me talk about my role. Some people think defense lawyers must feel conflicted, like we know something we're hiding. The truth? I don't feel conflicted at all. My job is clear. I protect my clients' confidences, and I make sure the state plays by the rules. That's how the system is designed. Let me tell you a story. I once had a case where the prosecution gave me a surveillance video, but when I watched it, something was off. There was no sound. I asked, is there any audio? And they told me that there wasn't. So I built my entire trial strategy around a silent video. Fast forward, we're in the middle of trial, and suddenly the prosecutor drops another version of the video on me. This one does have sound. The judge ruled that the state could not play the sound unless my client lied on the stand. That night, I took the video home. I listened, and my heart sank. Something my client had already said in testimony in court did not match with what you could hear on the audio. And I remember lying awake that night, staring at the ceiling, knowing if that sound comes in, the case could be over. So the next morning, I had to adjust everything, my questions, my strategy, the way I guided my client's testimony, so the jury would never hear that damaging audio. Now, some people might say, that's just playing games. But no, that's enforcing the rules. The prosecution doesn't get to withhold evidence and then sneak it in at the 11th hour. My job is to stop that. That's what protecting someone's rights looks like in real time. Now, critics love to say, well, if you know your client did it, aren't you just helping them get away with it? And here's my answer to that. It's not my job to hold my clients accountable. That's the prosecutor's job. If I can stop the state from proving its case, that failure, it's not on me. It's on them. I did my job. They didn't do theirs. So if you want to point fingers, don't point them at the defense lawyer for insisting the rules be followed. Point them at the side that couldn't prove what it claimed. Here's the bigger picture. People like to believe the criminal system is about truth or about justice. That's a comforting idea, but it's not true. The system is really about balance. On one side, society wants order. On the other, individuals want to live free from government intrusion. So we set up rules, due process, to balance those competing interests. If the government wants to strip you of your liberty, it has to jump through hoops. It has to clear hurdles. If it can't, you walk. And that's not dishonesty. That's the system working. In other countries, accusation is conviction. In some places, if the police say you did it, you disappear into prison. That's exactly what our Constitution was designed to prevent. Let me give you one more story. Years ago, I represented someone accused of shoplifting. The evidence seemed straightforward. Unpaid items in a bag. The store manager swore it was intentional. But when we dug deeper, we learned the self-checkout scanner had glitched. My client was rushing to pick up her child with special needs. She thought everything had been rung up. She still got arrested. She still had to face the humiliation of being handcuffed in public. And for months, she lived under that cloud until the case was finally dismissed. Now tell me, was it dishonest for her to say not guilty? Or was it the only way to demand that the truth comes out? So here's the takeaway. Accusations are easy. Convictions must be hard. Not guilty isn't about pretending. It's about forcing the state to prove its case, protecting the individual, and keeping the government in check. I'm Joel Chorny. Remember, you have rights. They matter. Protect them. Stay safe. Hit subscribe. Follow me. Share this video if you found it useful. Give me comments that I can respond to. If you have questions, concerns, but-fors, I want to hear them. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.